you where you are. There is no magic. Pray from now till tomorrow. God is not gonna send a Reverend to come feed you. No, you have to work to eat. So please, Nigerians, yeah, enough of this. Let us pray for the future. Pray to God, but put in the work, please.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Ada. There was a phrase a young man used on. I'm on the internet now. I just turned on social media, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. There was a phrase a young man used, Ada. He said, "Africa is proof that prayers don't work." And
Oh, wow.
he used it on the show. Didn't you hear
I
him?
know, I heard, but come on, prayers work, but
You see, Africa as a country, as a continent, I beg your pardon, is
yeah.
living proof that prayers don't work. You see, especially in the context of social, economic growth. How do you show that prayers work? Look at Africa. The one or two countries that are really working are the countries where they are fighting against religion, like Rwanda. You see, let's start asking ourselves, we're praying for wealth. Where's the wealth? We're praying for success. I don't understand how someone living in a one bedroom apartment that has no bathroom, his bathroom is a, what is it called? A zinc roofing sheet that was used to map out a square where he goes in to have his bath. How can he believe he's successful if those are his living conditions in 2022? No human being deserves to live like that. You see, you can never be successful if you live below the poverty line. Success is relative. Some people might say, yes, Elon Musk is atheist or irreligious and he's wealthy, doesn't make him successful. They're Christians. Listen, you can never be successful if you live below the poverty line. You will suffer. You might be religious, you might be a Christian, you might be a Muslim, but you can't use the word success. 46% of Nigeria's population lives not below the poverty line, below the extreme poverty line. $1.70 a day. 46% of Africans live below that line. Of Nigerians. Do you realize that we have prayed more fervently every year? And every year we have gotten worse. 2019 was better than 2020. 2020 with COVID was still better than 2021. 2021 was better than where we are in 2020. You don't need to hold, just look at June 2021 and December 2021. You can tell the difference. Things are getting worse. Somebody listening to me online says my breakfast is €4. I was driving with Taste Buds. We're going to buy Ejalson. And Taste Buds said something to me. She said, do you know that this time in January, say you are going to buy Ejalson. Do you know that this time in January, some people are running headlessly. They finish spending their money in December. They are broke. Children have to go to school. They don't have money. And you want to go and buy expensive fish. And I thought about it. The Ejalson that we bought was about 25K. When they cut it to 13 pieces. Fine, maybe if they had cut it to smaller pieces, because I like when I'm eating my fish, I like to see the fish inside the soup. Max, they could have cut it to 20 pieces, meaning that then and there, buying the fish, one piece is more than 1K. You have not cooked it. Yeah, it's simple mathematics. 25,000 naira fish that you cut into 13 pieces. That means each piece is almost 2K, because if the fish were 26K, 13 is exactly 2K per piece of fish. And we live in a country where some people's whole day, their rent, their school fees, all their bills go into $1.70. Now, $1 is 570 naira. 70 cents is, let's say, a little above half a dollar. So let's just round everything up to 1K. Some people's lives are less than 1K, or about 1K a day, which is where our minimum wage is 30,000 naira a month. So you look at Nigeria's economy and you begin to worry. I had somebody from Libya here the other day. Do you know what the Libyan guy said? He said, you go to a poor man's house in Libya, you will see 5 cars. If you go to a poor man's house in Nigeria, you will experience genuine poverty. Let me ask you a question about these imported religions. You see, all these things I'm saying, I'm just emphasizing. You know, today, the callers did the show.
Yeah.
I started off the show, I spoke for about 30 minutes, and then I handed over to the callers. And I tried as much as possible just to greet them. When they say that, if you say hello, I tried not to say anything. Today, I decided to listen, and we had today was the day where our callers were brilliant. You guys on social media, you missed the beginning part of Live and Dangerous. We had intellectual and intentional callers. For the first time, instead of callers writing down what Daddy Freeze is saying, Daddy Freeze was writing down what callers are saying. One guy said something. I think it's the same guy who said Africa is evidence that prayers don't work. He said something else. He said our colonial masters, they came to Africa. They brought their style of government, their legal system. This wig and gown that we wear in court, we inherited it directly from the British. They brought their education, right? They brought their religion. They brought their politics. If you look at Nigeria today, the only thing that they gave us that is working well is religion. Our educational system is in shambles. Don't you feel that there was an intentional drive behind making sure religion is so successful in Africa? Because it is the only way through which they can remote control us. Look at, we have some of the best churches in the world. Do we have some of the best schools in the world? Do we have some of the best courts in the world? Do we have some of the best politics and politicians in the world? Absolutely not. But we have, let me tell you, the Nigerian church system and the Nigerian religious system as a whole with regards to Islam and Christianity will measure par to par with any religious country in the world. Am I lying, Ada?
No, you're not.
If you mention the wealthiest pastors in the world, top 10, there's no way 2 or 3 Nigerians will not be there. Meanwhile, if you mention...
I mean, even Put it to Google.
Put
Top
it to
10
Google.
pastors.
Top 10 wealthiest pastors.
Top 10 wealthiest
You'll
pastors.
be amazed that there'll be, put top 10 best schools. Nigeria can never make the list. Hospitals, Nigeria can never make the list. We were treating ourselves with agbojedi. We were treating ourselves with our concoctions and herbs. They brought hospitals. Our hospitals did
We're
not
number
develop.
one.
What?
We're number one.
We're number one. What did I say? They brought this, our style of hospital. It wasn't our invention. We didn't have hospitals. We had healing homes. They brought hospitals. Ask yourself, they brought hospital, they brought education, they brought politics, the style of politics we have, democracy, they brought our legal system, and they brought our religion. How come it's only religion that is measuring, that is on par with their own, if our religion is even better than their own, because their churches have turned to nightclub? So ask yourselves, our health sector is, if there's any word in my humble opinion below fail, if there was F11, trust me, if they gave us F11, we are supposed to go and fight them, because we no pass reach F11. We supposed they like F19, not F9.
Okay, Daddy Fritz, I think you need to end this on the radio.
Yes, let me end this on the radio. Guys, make sure you don't miss Live and Dangerous on the radio. Sometimes we have really, really good callers who bring a lot to the table. And today I'm going to be trying to summarize what they talked about on the radio that you could have heard for yourself on social media in the next few minutes. Ada, I'm going to join you again tomorrow, Live and Dangerous. Daddy Freeze and Ada. Our show, by the way, a month ago was number one. Abiada, we need to tell them more.
Sure that.
It was number one. And that could not be possible without the callers we have, the interactions we get.
Sure.
You know, we are where we are because we have people who listen to us and people who believe in us. They call us. Frank who call and fight. Moses who call out. Even Moses made a lot of sense today. Comrade Ike Chukwu.
Oh yeah, he did.
Comrade Ike Chukwu.
Oh, you don't cry.
Comrade Ike Chukwu cried on behalf of Nigeria's problems. And one or two new callers, or one, or, you know, some people will call you, wonder what does this one want to say. By the time he's done, 2 minutes into the call, you'll be like, wow. So thank you so much. And people want to know how they can listen to us online. How is that possible? NigeriaInfo.fm. Join us from 10 o'clock. It's Ada and I. We always have a bevy of topics, and we go in hard, and it's dangerous. That's why the name is there. It's dangerous and it's live. Take care. Chat station Ada is going to be next, and she talks about all sorts of lovely things, and she's very experienced when it comes to breakfast in relationships, all those kind of things. She is
Very experienced.
she is she speaks about relationships, and Ada is supposed to have her doctorate in relationships. In fact, she's a professor of relationships. Trust me. She might be young, but what she has seen, all of you joined together have not seen. So please listen to somebody that has experience.
I don't have experience breakfast, so never, I reject it.
Hey man, no, that's how Tochi experienced brunch today. He proposed yesterday.
And he brought down the post today.
Okay. You know what? Let's leave the fun to Ada's show. Make sure you join her. It's called the Chat Station. And Nigeria Info is a radio station I actually listen to when I'm not jamming music in my car. When I'm driving my normal car, I listen. But when I'm driving my car that has... When I'm driving my car that has Bedu, we listen to music, bing. That Bedu, you can always sit on talk. But when I'm driving normally every day, I'm listening to Nigeria Info, from Sheriff in the morning to Sandra, to Mimo, yes, and to everybody else in between, the ones I know, the ones I don't know, the ones I like, the ones I don't like. All of them shall join together, make Nigeria Info a very amazing radio station. What?
Okay, thank you, Daddy, please.
Before I go and put us into trouble.
For real. Don't have any dread. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, guys. Take care, and we love you. Back to our topic. Yes. So, the gentleman said something. He said, the same guy who said Nigeria is evidence that prayers don't work. He said something. He said, look at all the institutions we carried over from Oyinbo people. Hospitals, healthcare, education, legislation, politics, our legal system, democracy, our style of governance. How many of these things are working in 2022? The only one that is working on par with their own is religion. We have church cathedrals that are bigger than any church cathedral you can find in London. In fact, the whole United Kingdom put together. We literally have a 50,000 auditorium. We have 100,000 auditorium. And we even are building 150,000 auditorium in this poverty. Paul Kagame said something when he assumed office. He said only rich countries can afford to have the level of religion that they had in Rwanda. So he began to close churches and mosques. How many mosques are there? They say he closed maybe 10 mosques and like 8,000 churches or something ridiculous. How many mosques are there? How many imams make the mosque their business? How many imams have private jets? So at the end of the day, when you start looking at religion and its abuse, it still comes back to us. It still comes back to us. And there is more proof with the ratings that was released today. Those ratings literally broke my heart. The World Passport Rankings came out. Let me share this with you. World Passport Rankings. Can you beat this? Japan and Singapore tie at number 1. They can travel to 192 countries visa free. How many countries do we even have in the world? We have 195 countries in the world. And Japan and Singapore can travel to all the countries except 3. Let's do this mathematics. Someone said, is this really live? Ifeanyi, yes, this is live. No one said Africa is proof that prayers do work. I'm not going to say prayers don't work. I believe in prayers. I pray every day and prayers work. But Africa as a whole, statistically, Africa is not a reference point for prayers. If you use Africa as a yardstick to measure prayers, it becomes evidence that prayers don't work. Out of 195 countries, according to, someone said there are 202 countries. According to worldometers.com, World Atlas also says 195 countries, out of which 193 members of the UN. So it's 195 countries. How many countries are there in the world in 2022? One Step Forward says, because someone asked, One Step Forward says there are 197 countries, but most people agree that there are 195 countries. So I'm going to work with 195. Now, out of 195, Japanese citizens and Singaporean citizens can travel to every country on earth visa free except 3. If you travel to 3 countries a year, right? Let's even imagine you travel to 5 countries a year, which most people cannot do. The average person can only go to 2 or 3 countries a year max. That's if you are a traveler. And different countries. Or not that you go to the UK, you go to Spain, and then you go to Portugal, yes, and you do it every year. Say I go to no. Different countries. So let's say you have 195 countries. It will take you 39 years if you go to 5 different countries every year. That means this year you go to Togo, France, and Brazil. Next year you go to Mexico, UK, and Singapore. The year after you go to Japan. It will take you 39 years to visit all the countries a Singaporean and a Japanese man can visit without visas. So if you have a Singaporean passport and you want to maximize that passport, it will take you 39 years, unless traveling is your work, if you go to 5 countries a year. Just so you understand the power. Now, Singaporeans are Buddhists, predominantly Buddhists. The Japanese are predominantly Shintoists. Yet they are this successful. You cannot say this is not success. When your own country cannot take you to some African countries like South Africa without visa. A Singaporean can come to SA without visa. And a Japanese will come to South Africa in Africa without visa. Meanwhile, a Nigerian wants to go to South Africa, you pay like 100,000 for visa. Now, let me read the whole list to you. Japan, Singapore, number 1, they can visit 192 countries each. Germany, South Korea can go to 190 countries each. Germany and South Korea tie at number 2. Let me give you some funny facts about Singapore at number 1 in the passport index and South Korea at number 2. South Korea is 3 years older than Nigeria. They got their independence the same year Ghana got their independence in 1957. Singapore, on the other hand, got their independence in 1965, 5 years after us. These countries are our age mates. We are not talking about the UK. We are not talking about Germany. We are talking about Singapore and South Korea. Look at Singapore today. LG, Samsung, Kia, Hyundai. Look at us today. If you Google South Korean religion, a slight majority of South Koreans have no religion. Buddhism and Christianity are the dominant confession among those who affiliate with a formal religion. So more than half of South Koreans are irreligious, but out of those who are religious, there's a shade between Buddhism and Christianity. I have a graph here. No religion is 56%. Protestantism is 19%. Korean Buddhism is 15%. Catholicism is about 7.9%, and others minute 0.8%. So you have mainly irreligious people. Then second is Christianity, because if you join Protestants and Catholics, you get about 28%. And then Korean Buddhism, about 15%. So it is no religion, Christian, then Buddhists. No religion is more than double the Christians. In fact, and the Buddhists together, safe. So what am I trying to say? Whether a country is religious or not does not determine its success. Let me go back to the list. All those countries like Finland, Italy, Luxembourg, Spain are number 3. Austria, France, Denmark, Netherlands, Sweden, Ireland. Sorry, Sweden, that's number 4. These countries are irreligious. Sweden, Denmark, the Netherlands, all those, what do they call it, Scandinavian, the irreligious. Then if you go to number 5, you have Ireland and Portugal, 6, Belgium, New Zealand, Norway and Switzerland, United Kingdom and United States. Can you believe that the Singaporean passport is by far stronger than the American passport and by far stronger than the United Kingdom passport? 7, we have Australia and Canada. Canada that you are all running to. Do you think Singaporeans are running with you? If you go to number 16, you will see Romania there, my mother's country. As a Romanian citizen, I can visit 174 countries visa-free. 174 countries. Romania is number 16. Nigeria is not in the top 10, not in the top 20, not in the top 50, but barely makes it into the top 100 at number 98. Nigeria and Ethiopia tied together at 45 countries. Nigerians can only visit 45 countries visa-free. Only 45 countries. So what am I saying at the end of the day? I will never sit down and tell you prayers don't work. But I will tell you the type of prayers you pray in Nigeria don't work. Enemy die by fire does not work. Your enemies keep increasing by the day. Money prayers don't work. You have more poverty than almost any other nation on earth. We are busy praying for marriages. Meanwhile, we have more divorce cases. We pray for morality. Yet, Nigeria is one of the highest ranking countries with regards to paternity fraud. So my question for you today is, do Nigerian prayers work? Let's look at Nigeria as a whole. Let's get out of this bubble. Nene, how are you this evening?
Hi, Daddy Freeze.
How are you, my darling?
Happy New Year.
Same to you. Haven't seen you this year. So let's remove ourselves from selfish ambition, which is a vice according to the scriptures. If you follow us in our prayer meeting, we still talked about selfish ambition this Saturday. And selfish ambition is not just dangerous, it is wicked. Let's remove selfish ambition and our selfish prayers, which I believe don't work either. Because how can we have 5 to 10 churches on every street, and the main requirement of Christianity, which is love, is the first thing you notice that is absent in Nigeria? Let's remove our personal interests and come together as a nation. Love is a prayer on its own. If I love you, it's worth more than 10 prayers. I was just reading today in Delta State,
Yeah.
a church collapsed and people lost their lives. Church. The greed in the Nigerian man that makes them siphon building materials and use poor quality materials and use fewer materials than necessary. They tell you to gauge 0.5, you gauge 0.3.
Yeah.
You have brought it into the church, the house of prayer. The church is not the house of God. God does not have a house. How can a church collapse? How? You see, that shows you that
Great.
our type of prayers cannot work. Remember the story of the prayer in the house in Ikoyi where they were singing and praising and doing praise and worship. Did the house not fall and still kill the person that owns the house? Some people say that the spirit is insensitive. Listen,
Yeah.
some messages need to be passed with the insensitivity so you can understand it. You
Yeah.
can pray all you like. If you cut corners, don't expect God to come and you put his finger there so that the building does not fall. I want to ask you, the building that they prayed on top and the building still fell, did that prayer work? Let me ask you, Nene.
No.
The church
No,
that they
it did not
built
work.
and they are praying in the church and the church fell
But
on
they
the
still,
people praying. Are those prayers
yeah,
working?
it
You
is
see,
not working. But I don't know what it's gonna take for them to know that it doesn't work. Yeah. But like you keep doing it, some people are coming around it. We're getting there. We get there one day. But it's hard.
newly collapsed, 10
Yeah.
people trapped. 10 people lost their lives, others trapped.
Yeah.
Newly completed church building collapses in Delta State. Newly completed church building. As long as church is a business, your prayers cannot be answered.
No.
It's a business. Church is supposed to be the gathering of the brethren.
Yeah.
Church is supposed to be people gathering in love and selflessness. Acts chapter 4, verse 32. All the believers gathered together. Nobody owned anything. They shared what they had equally. And they testified to the resurrection of Christ. And there was no needy person among them because those who had would take to the apostles to distribute to those who had in need. In Nigeria, they take to the apostles eat. The apostles take care of their family.
It's not only in Nigeria that the phrase, it's in Africa. Like this thing is the whole of Africa. Like in my country, I have this story with this church. Like where I'm building my house. I think there is 5 houses in this street, and there's this old powerhouse like building. I was here 2 years ago or three. When I came back, all of a sudden, these people are already using this powerhouse as a church. The place don't have windows; they have just one door. And like, if you see the area, this is not a place where like you can go put a church. So, like, these people just take like the opportunity to put church everywhere to do business. Like, there's no way they should put church in that place. And that thing like is like bothering me now. Like we need
Only in
light in the
Africa.
country. We don't need more church. We need more electricity, not more church. Like how
Only
can
in
they come use
Africa
this electricity for a church?
would somebody borrow loan from 5 banks to build a church.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
It's
You see, I want to end on this note. I want us to think. This is 2022. Why are we continuing
yeah,
on the same path of 2019, 2020, 2021? You see, it is foolishness, in fact, madness, to do the same thing
yeah,
over and over again and expect different results. No matter how you add 3 plus 5, you can never get 10. You keep getting 8. For you to get 10, you either
yeah,
have to add 5 plus 5 or 6 plus 4. You have to do something differently. Nigeria,
yeah,
and as my dear sister here said, Africa in general, it is time to be intentionally different.
yeah,
Take care, everyone,
yeah.
and God bless. Nene, my sister,
Good night.
good night, my darling. Thank you for joining.